What's up guys, it's your boy Chef D and I'm back with another video. In today's video we reacting to Yondon the Sauce Guy, The Night My Heart Stopped Beating. Now this sounds like some scary shit bro, low key. So I ain't gonna do a lot of talking, let's just get straight to it. For all my new subscribers, I pre-draw all my drawings. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
So fast forward maybe 5 minutes and now I'm in a different hospital bed and I'm surrounded by like 7 doctors. The main doctor comes up beside me and he starts to break it down. So Mr. Hines, as you now know, we've diagnosed you with... Hey, listen, it's over. Do you get that? We're not going back. What, do you think we're gonna go back to how it was
that corona
before it hit? Nah guys, online school? You better get used to that. Oh, what's that you say? You don't like wearing masks at the grocery store? Sounds like a you problem. All I'm trying to say, just like how you had to get used to taking off your shoes at the airport after
my video,
9/11,
guys.
you better get used to watching a lot of YouTube. And eventually, you're gonna need more stuff to watch, right? And that's why today, I wanna introduce you to Fam Jam Animation. One of the most quality animation channels here on YouTube. Now, they don't tell stories quite like your boy here, but they do make very fun, short animations that are high quality.
I got skits
that
coming
are
out,
funny
so
and nice to
got
look
something
at. They
similar.
were also the ones that animated the music video for my song Goodbye, so you know they're good at this shit. These guys are good friends of mine, and I told them that I could get them some subscribers. So here, don't make me look dumb in front of my friends. Okay?
Story time, nigga.
Go subscribe and let them know Young Don sent you. So about 4 years ago, I almost died. Like for real.
Damn.
No clickbait, no classic YouTuber exaggeration. About 4 years ago, my heart stopped in the emergency room of a California hospital and I almost died. So let's just jump right in, shall we? So you remember Bianca, right? From the This Girl Was Trouble and I Wasn't Ready to Be a Dad videos? Well, this happened during that little fiasco. So you might want to go watch those videos if you want to get the full context. So one night I snuck Bianca into my room, as I had done a few times, so that we could get it cooking in the kitchen. You feel me?
Oh yeah, you know your boy
I was
Chef
in my
D
bag
be
that night.
cooking.
Okay, so I'm in the kitchen chefing like a young Gordon Ramsay, and then we come to the end of round 1. So now it's halftime, right? Which means it's time to get some refreshments, right? Got to restore the electrolytes, got to get some fruit snacks in me, get some water, replenish, refuel, recharge. So I sneak out of my room and it's around midnight, so everybody else in the house is in bed, and I walk to the kitchen to get Bianca and I some water. And the kitchen was at most 50 feet from the bedroom, right? Literally 2 hops and a skip away. Yet, in the short amount of time it took me to walk to the kitchen, by the time I got to the fridge, I was completely out of breath. So I'm thinking to myself, damn, I must have really been killing. How is Shorty not on life support right now, my G? Cause I've never been that tired after 1 round, you feel me? So I get the water, I walk back to the room, and now I'm breathing heavy, like I just climbed a mountain or something, right? It was clear that something was off. So I sit on the bed beside Bianca and she could see the concern on my face. And she's like, are you good? So I'm like, I don't know. I feel out of breath and my chest feels weird. So I take a deep breath, I place my hand above my heart and I listen. And I'm no doctor, but my gut was telling me that something wasn't right. So I turned to Bianca, who had just been sitting there in silence, and I asked her to listen to my heart and see if it sounded weird, thinking that maybe I'm tripping. She puts her head up against my chest and listens intently. After about 10 seconds, she pulls her head back and her eyes were bugging. She looks at me and is like, I don't know, Don. That doesn't sound good. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just sleep it off. Hope 1 round's good for tonight, yeah? Cause I didn't think shit was that serious. Bianca, on the other hand, didn't agree. She thought I should go wake up Quinn's mom. She's like, I'm gonna go to my room so we don't get caught. As soon as I'm there, go and wake Quinn's mom. So she leaves my room, I hear the door close, and then just to be safe, I was like, all right, can't hurt. Now, if you're new to the channel, you really should watch these videos if you want an in-depth backstory of who all these people are. But in summary, Quinn was one of my best friends while I was in college. His mom had an extra room available because his little sister went to college in Boston. So she rented it to me pretty much for free, and I lived there for almost 3 years. Bianca was a friend of their family, and she moved in for a few months before taking off to the military. And while she was there, we took a liking to each other.
I watched some stories about
Quinn's mom, who I fondly called Mama Bear because of how protective she is over her kids. I mean, while I was living there, she was a gun-owning single mother with a black belt in jiu-jitsu, meaning she could fuck you up if she needed to, much like a real mother bear, thus the name Mama Bear. And Mama Bear just so happened to be a very experienced nurse practitioner, which is why Bianca wanted me to wake her up so she could listen to my heart. So I walk over to Mama Bear's room, I knock on the door and crack it open, and I'm like, "Hey Mama Bear, could you come listen to my heart? I think something might be wrong." And by this point, she's already in her mind adopted me as one of her cubs, like I was the big brown grizzly bear she never had. So she goes straight into mom mode, right? She hops out of bed, grabs her stethoscope, sits me down, and listens to my heart. So she's doing the whole nurse thing, right? Moving it around, and the whole time, I'm just waiting for her to tell me that I was tripping. After about maybe 20, 30 seconds, she looks at me with love and concern and very calmly says to me, "Okay, so honey, I don't want you to panic, but we have to take you to the emergency room, okay?"
Damn.
So of course I instantly start to panic because of why the fuck do we need to go to the emergency room?
Like, what's wrong with me, nigga?
Wrong with me? Also, hate hospitals, right? I mean, it's a terrible place.
I totally agree.
You go because of disease.
I do not want to be at a hospital,
you leave in
bro.
debt, and if you don't, it's because you died. So I'm like, "Are you sure it's that bad?" She's like, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. But if we don't go now, this could get very serious very quickly." So I get dressed and we head to the hospital. We pull up and she drops me off at the entrance
know what your guys
so
think
that she
what
could
it
go
is.
find parking. And before I go inside, she tells me to say a very specific sentence to the nurse at the sign-in desk. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but whatever it was, worked. Because if you've ever been to an ER, you know that you're waiting at least an hour before anyone even takes your temperature. 5 minutes. After I told that nurse what Mama Bear told me to tell her, it didn't even take 5 minutes for them to call my name. So this was clearly very serious, right? So they bring me into a room, they hook me up to an EKG, and they're tracking my heart rate. And up until this point, no one has told me what's going on, not even Mama Bear, right? I just know something's wrong with my heart. So Mama Bear walks into the room and I see her look at the EKG monitor, at which point her face just gets like serious. I look at the nurse that's attending to me and she's looking serious too. So I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" The nurse
just tell the man what's wrong with him.
"Everything's gonna be okay. Okay, the doctors will be with you shortly." I'm like, "Doctors? As in like plural? Why we need more than one? I just got one heart, right? That's like one heart, one doctor. What's going on?" The nurse leaves and then Mama Bear, who could see that I was stressing, turns to me and is like, "Okay, so it looks like you have AFib," which is what I suspected. So I'm like, "What's AFib?" AFib, or atrial fibrillation, is an irregular and often rapid heart rate that occurs when the two upper chambers of your heart experiences chaotic electrical signals. Much like a good hip-hop trap beat, a healthy heart rate is consistent and rhythmic, kind of like the beat I'm playing right now. That's nice, right? It's good rhythm. A heart with AFib, on the other hand, is better represented by a beat that sounds like this. It's irregular, it's fast, it's chaotic. So fast forward maybe 5 minutes and now I'm in a different hospital bed and I'm surrounded by like 7 doctors. The main doctor comes up beside me and he starts to break it down. "So Mr. Hines, as you now know, we've diagnosed you with acute atrial fibrillation. And this is very strange because you're clearly a young and healthy male with no history of heart conditions. To be frank with you, Mr. Hines, this condition pretty much only occurs in older people as well as people with defective hearts. So we're not sure why this happened, but we will stop it. So first, I'm gonna ask you to take a big breath in. I want you to hold it and bear it down on your bowels as if you're trying to take a shit. I swear to God, that's what he said. So that's what I did. He gave me a minute, checked my heart rate, and then was like, okay, so now we're gonna try something a little more serious. We're gonna attempt some chemical cardioversion. I'm gonna inject you with this medicine needles, that will hopefully take you out of the AFib. I say okay, he sticks me with the needle, wait a couple more minutes, he checks my heart rate, no dice. So now he's like, well, Mr. Himes, unfortunately it's come to our last option. We're gonna have to attempt electrical cardioversion. So I'm like, what's that? He then says, we're gonna attempt to shock your heart back in rhythm. We use a machine to generate a low voltage, which will briefly stop your heart and restart it. Think of it like
hell no, bro,
on your computer when it starts.
That should be scary.
Like, you mean like the clear thing? Clear? He's like, yeah, the clear thing. So now I'm scared, right? So I'm like, Doc, come on, man. There are no other options? He's like, yeah, but we did them already. Remember? So I'm like, oh, well, what if we just don't do it then? Well, seeing that your heart rate hasn't dropped under 100 BPM since you've been here, and this has been persistent for what now? About an hour, with no signs of slowing down. Also taking into account that previous attempts of cardioversion failed, my best estimation is that a blood clot will eventually form in one of the upper chambers of your heart, which will eventually escape and make its way to your brain, at which point you will suffer a stroke. Best case scenario, you will have partial paralysis of your body and face. Worst case scenario is death. So what would you like to do? So how exactly does this shit, what part goes on my chest? Yo, shock me, nigga, shock me. So they apply the patches to my chest, they hook me up to the machine, and then they hit me with some anesthesia. They told me I wasn't gonna feel anything and that I should count to 10. So I start counting, and by the time I get to 8, I was waking up to a very happy mama bear. I turn to her and I'm like, so are they gonna do it? And she's like, oh honey, they already did it. I'm like, no way. She's like, yep, and your heart's back in rhythm. They released me that night and it hasn't happened ever since. Doctors don't think it will ever happen again. A freak incident is what they call it. Wanna know what I call it? A1 box. Shit was so good, I almost put me in a box, nigga. God damn.
I do. Hey, well, that's it for this video, man. If you guys like this video, man, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy 2the K. I'll be back with more videos. Peace.